Gardening isn't just for the spring and summer. Today we're going to help you get your mind off these freezing temperatures and back into the garden. We have the master gardener, the Green Thumb Guru, Ed Sourdiffe from theGreenThumbGuru.com. Thank you for bringing plants. I think everybody is so cold that you're not even thinking how nice the flora and the fauna is.
I know, it was really cold this morning. I woke up and I think the temperature was -4.
Yeah, it's a mess out there. So you're going to make it a little bit better for us. What do you have here?
Well, actually, these are some house plants that we'll talk about in the second half about bringing them into your house. And I was actually saying this is a actually great New Year's resolution for you to have to bring plants into your life.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, they do more than just beautify your life. They actually enhance your mental state and your physical state. Mentally, they can help bring people out of depression. If you have a college student in the house, you put a few plants around or in their dorm, it actually helps them to focus and study more, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Where were you when I was in college?
I know. And it actually, having plants around or a green space will actually lower blood pressure too. So there's a lot of good reasons to have it. And of course, gardening, it gets you physically fit. It loses the weight that I've been putting on all winter.
No, you could have fooled me. But you're right, though. It's all about the bending, and you don't do these things in the wintertime.
You don't drag the hose around or anything else, so it's a good thing to do. It's also now, I know wouldn't think about it, but it's actually the time to start some seeds right now, too.
We start them now?
Well, some earlier seeds you start now. There are all the different seeds. Some are just 6 weeks. You start them like basil before it's ready to go out. But some of the longer term seeds, and I think I sent you a list, so it'll be up on.
There it is.
There it is. It's right there. So you can see some of the things you would start now would be begonias, pansies, and geraniums. Those are your annuals, which mean they just are a yearly thing and will die with the fall. The perennials, which come back year after year, you can start now are gaillardia, coreopsis, foxglove, just to name a few. And of course, vegetables, you have the beets, your celery, your leeks, your lettuce, onions, and chives. And
you start these so early that ideally by the time that the finally thaws out, we'll be able to transplant them into our garden?
Yes, you can bring them outside like that and transplant them. Or if you have cold frames, which we can talk about a little in the future too, you can actually put them out a little bit earlier too. And that would be like a mini greenhouse for you.
And I imagine if you have the proper lighting, something like lettuce, you could grow all year round inside if you wanted to.
Oh, you could. We've talked before about grow lights that you just make out of a warm white tube, fluorescent tube, and a cool white tube, and leave it on 16 hours a day. I mean, I have basil that I can grow all year around, and just indoors.
Do you really?
Yeah, and it works really well.
Well, I'm in the market for some basil, so if you ever want to swing on some by, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Now, I see a lot of these seed catalogs. What do we need to know when we're reading through seed catalogs?
Well, if you are already a gardener, you're going to have a lot of seed catalogs just coming through the mail. Your mailbox is full, which is a great thing because you can actually see different new plants that are out there. Seed catalogs give you a great big variety of plants that you can actually grow that you can't just usually get at your garden center.
That's nice.
You should do a little research, though, when you're looking into seed catalogs. Some seed catalogs that sell plants also will say, we have this they show a great big picture of a beautiful plant, and then you get it in the mail and it's a teeny tiny little thing and you spend $20. So
you don't want that.
No, so ask your friends, do a little research online for that. If you're already a gardener, like I said, you're going to be getting tons of seed catalogs. If you're not and you want to get them, they're usually free. And all you'd have to do is do a search online and you can just say seed catalogs and you'll just have a ton that come up. There's also some great plant catalogs out there. If you want some really exotic perennials, indoor plants, tropicals, Logis is a place right in Danielson, Connecticut.
Oh, really?
And they have a great catalog, and you can actually visit their site. And it's a bunch of little greenhouses. You walk through it. It's a good respite from this weather. It's warm.
Yeah, I'd love to be in a greenhouse right about now.
Yeah, you see they have lemons growing and everything. So it's a good thing to do, and it inspires you what you can do also.
Now, Ed, Western Mass Master Gardeners Association, you're a master gardener, you're a part of it, and people can get involved this time of year, is that right?
Yes. The Master Gardeners, if you go to our website, wmmga.org.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a tough website.
You can actually see there's symposiums that are coming up, one in Deerfield, one in the Berkshires, and one in Holyoke. And that will actually teach you different things from water gardening to plant starting to a whole variety of things at the different ones. It's a really good place to go.
Now, Ed, later in the show we're going to talk about all these plants, is that right?
Yes, these are some a little bit more exotic than you usually have. Some that fit the bill for any kind of person you are. If you're too busy to water, if you wanted something a little bit more intense, if you have a lot of light in your house, if you don't have a lot of light. So these are just some that'll fit that bill.
And I'm going to challenge you right now too. We have the Hollywood Buzz coming up later in the show today. So you want to do it with me?
Sure. that'll be great.
Ed's in also today on Mass Appeal. We're kicking off a new series. I love it. I'm sure you're going to love it too. We are going through all... We're back with a master gardener, a green thumb guru. It's Ed Sourdiffe. He has a nice shirt on. We're talking about winter gardening because it can be done.
It can be done. You should as we talked about earlier, you should have plants in your life, in your house. You know, they help you out. So I brought a few different ones in today. Some are more exotic than others, but each one is a little niche. So no matter what kind of gardener you are, if you're somebody who forgets plants or someone who wants to really get in on it, we have plants for you like today.
Shall we start on this side?
Yeah, that's a calathea. That's you might have seen versions of that more common. They're smaller little prayer plants, they call them, with the red veins coming up the middle, and they actually will fold their leaves at night. These do not. But this is a great plant for the house if you want to give it a little more care. It likes to be moist, so you'd have to just check the soil. And of course, how you check the soil is take your dry finger, you put it right in the soil, and you feel if it feels moist or wet or dry.
Okay.
And then you want to keep that one moist. And that would actually like a little bit more humidity.
Degree of difficulty on this plant?
It's a little bit more difficult just because of the humidity, and in winter in New England we have our heating sources like wood stoves and things that dries out your air. So what makes you uncomfortable makes that plant uncomfortable.
We all need to be moist and comfortable.
Yes.
What's this plant?
This is a little bird's nest fern. So this is also a little bit more difficult, but of the ferns who all like to stay moist, this one you can actually let dry out a little bit in its soil and it'll be fine with that. You can actually see there's a little bit of browning on some of the tips here, and that's because it was a little bit dry. I see you're playing with my water bottle.
Yes.
And that's perfect.
This is what you need though for the winter.
Yes, that's what you need for your plants. That will actually help increase the humidity around the plant. You can actually put these plants on a tray of pebbles with water in the tray of pebbles, and the plants are actually suspended above the water by the pebbles, so that will allow the moisture to envelop the plants. Also, I brought this really interesting, neat little glass thing here.
I noticed that.
Now that's actually a reproduction cloche. A cloche. It actually, they used to use this, believe it or not. They used to have hundreds of these, and they would bring them out into the fields, and they would actually cover the little seedlings in the spring to keep them warm because it was before plastic. So you imagine bringing that all out and doing that.
Ed, we've got about 2 minutes left to get through all these plants. What do we have here?
Okay, these are jade plants, and I'm just showing you the two different types of jade plants. These are succulents.
Okay.
These probably will not need misting, so that's a plus, but you can mist them if you want. They can also, because they're succulents and they have these really thick leaves, and that's how you can tell a succulent usually, this stores water, so this would not want to be wet all the time. It likes to dry out just a little bit.
Oh, well then I'll take this away. The mister will go. We have some air plants over here too,
yes,
is that right?
Tillandsias. These are actually really neat plants, and they're not as hard as you would think or to keep. I have a couple different kinds here. Actually, even though they say they're air plants, they actually do need water. So once a week, all you would do, and actually, well, yeah, you can spray it like that, and you can see it's changing colors. Or actually, I have a pot here, and with this big guy, you see there are actually no roots at all, so it doesn't take water up from the roots. See the white stuff on it?
Yeah.
Those are like scales or little hairs. That actually catches the water. You can actually see how when you sprayed it, it got darker because it's actually catching the water. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then this little guy is another Tillandsia. And I don't know if you ever watched go ahead.
Okay.
If you ever watch Star Trek, it looks like a little tribble. It's really very fuzzy. So it was actually evolved in the desert, and it has those little hairs that really catch the water well. And this only gets watered by the morning dew in the desert. If I had a big plant like this, I would dunk it in water like this, try to get all the leaves in it, and submerge it in warm water for about an hour or two a week. And the same thing with this, and that's all you need.
And lastly, that far plant in the corner, what's that one?
The far plants are euphorbias.
Euphorbias.
Another great plant for you if you can't keep up with the watering, but you have a lot of light in the house. This is a milli version down here that has a much larger flowers. They come in yellows and reds, and you see they start blooming this time of year. This is a regular euphorbia. It has a smaller flowers, but they're all over it, so it's really good to have flowers in the house, and these do it for you.
Ed, thanks for all your help, but we're not done with you yet. And you can find more information about this on mymassappeal.com later today.